Monday's violence in Ladakh on a lonely ridge in the Galwan Valley was cold, calculated and premeditated from China. Let there be no mistake that this was spontaneous. Chinese soldiers attacked Indian troops who we now know were armed but stuck to the no bullets protocol. They were attacked with clubs wrapped with barbed wire, iron rods studded with nails, sticks and stones. And now politics has erupted over India's soldiers who were slaughtered. With Rahul Gandhi targeting the Modi government, the Congress has questioned as to why Indian army soldiers were not able to use their weapons. He's been contradicted by Minister Jaishankar himself, who said that they did carry arms, but as per agreements of 1996 and 2005, the long-standing practice is not to use firearms during face-offs. And India honored the pact and followed the terms of the agreement, while China has stabbed India in the back with the use of those savage materials. In the past, Indian-China agreements have stressed on the need to preserve peace and tranquility on the border. The agreements have been interpreted by both sides to mean not using firearms. It is because of these agreements that not a single shot has been fired in 45 years, including on the night of June the 15th. The treaties also provide for both countries not carrying arms during patrolling, not carrying weapons, wearing rifles on the back, pointing down with the magazines separated are understood to be the rules of engagement. The Chinese troops used spiked clubs to circumvent these agreements.
भाइयों और बहनों, चीन ने हिंदुस्तान के शस्त्रहीन सैनिकों की हत्या करके एक बहुत बड़ा अपराध किया है। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, इन वीरों को बिना हथियार खतरे की ओर किसने भेजा और क्यों भेजा? कौन जिम्मेदार है? धन्यवाद।
राहुल गांधी जी, आप अगर पढ़े लिखे नहीं हैं, आपके पास जानकारी नहीं है, तो जानकारी लीजिए। घर में बैठ के लॉकडाउन का इस्तेमाल करते हुए कुछ किताबें पढ़नी चाहिए थी। आपके समर्थित सरकारों के समय, आपके सरकारों के समय क्या क्या वार्ता हुए थे, किस किस प्रकार की संधियां हुई थी, क्या एग्रीमेंट्स हुए थे। नवंबर 1996 में यह एग्रीमेंट साइन किया गया था। देवेगौड़ा जी उस समय प्रधानमंत्री थे। Neither side shall open fire, cause biodegradation, use hazardous chemicals, conduct blast operations, or hurt with guns or explosives within 2 kilometers from the line of actual control. Read, understand, and then speak, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Just don't rant against your country.
Why were our brave army officers and soldiers sent unarmed? Number 2, who gave this order to our valiant soldiers? Number 3, when our army officers and soldiers were being sent unarmed, why was armed backup force not available as per existing army protocol? Whether this is not a clear failure of central government or its leadership. Nation has paid a heavy price in martyrdom of our soldiers on account of the failure of so-called strong leadership of the country.
Congress party wants to politicize every issue at the cost of India's national interest. Now, many of the arguments or statements that Congress leaders like Mr. Rahul Gandhi put out have been very helpful to our enemies, to Pakistan and to China. So they make statements as though they are arguing the case not of our country but of our adversaries. So talking about the present conflict also, to make statements about criticizing the government are very premature and very immature, I would say.
India Today's Gaurav Sawant, the first journalist in Leh, Ladakh, with me live. Sandeep Punithan, executive editor, also with me live. And Polami Saha with me live from Delhi. Our defense editor Abhishek Balla is going to be joining me in just a moment from now as well. Gaurav, coming to you first. In Leh, take us through what the situation on the ground is. That's the first thing that our viewers want to know about. It has been a lot of bloodshed that happened on Monday Today we are talking about Thursday. Major generals have tried to, sort out things between both sides. But I understand that tempers are still very, very high. The External Affairs Minister has jumped into the politics and said that the troops were in fact armed, but they stuck to protocol. What are you hearing?
So, Shiv, two things. Situation on ground, extremely tense. Our soldiers are now ready. We broke the story about new rules of engagement. And new rules of engagement now include our infantry, our armor, our artillery, our mechanized forces, all ready to respond to any Chinese aggression anywhere. As far as Chinese salami slicing that continued along the line of actual control for decades. Not now, it's been on for decades. No longer will the Chinese be allowed. India will patrol up to our claim line and under new rules of engagement with exactly the same that the Chinese carry. So if the Chinese carry clubs, Indian soldiers will carry clubs. If they carry stones, Indian soldiers will carry stones. If the Chinese use weapons, Indian soldiers will use weapons. They will continue to follow the protocols that have been in place, but tit for tat at the LAC. Also a new aspect, Shiv, is that our shepherds who so far were denied access to a lot of pastures which the Chinese with their salami slicing were claiming, our shepherds will also go up to their claim line, perhaps with the protection of our soldiers, is what sources are telling India today. This may take some time, but new rules of the game at the LAC now.
Stay with me. I want to bring in Poulomi Saha also in on this. Poulomi, we've just seen something very big happen. The External Affairs Minister himself stepping into the political ring, over the unarmed politics and making that very, very big claim and that very, very big statement directly to Rahul Gandhi.
That's right. Rahul Gandhi had been constantly asking questions of the government, asking them why is it that our soldiers were unarmed, who sent them harm's way without any sort of protection, and who is responsible for these deaths. All of these questions, even at a time that the Prime Minister has said that he will be having an all-party video conference tomorrow, and he will, of course, take that opportunity to brief various political parties, the presidents of various political parties who will be joining in. But Rahul Gandhi continued to attack the government, and hence you heard from the External Affairs Minister. And like you said, a very, very big statement. He responded straight to the question that Rahul Gandhi asked as to whether our men were unarmed and who sent them unarmed into such a sensitive situation. He said they were armed, as is the protocol whenever someone is on border duty, even when they step out as well. They are armed all the time, but we were only following long-standing practices as per the 1996 and 2005 agreements between the two nations, India and China, and our soldiers did not resort to using these firearms, which is the protocol as per those agreements during any sort of face-off. Either of those agreements, you look at it, they say categorically at the start itself that neither side will be using their military capability against each other, and the External Affairs Minister said, this is what we did. We stuck to the rules of engagement. We stuck to the rules as laid down in these agreements. China completely reneged on the same.
Okay, Poulomi, I'm going to let you go for that because there are lots of political developments ahead of the all-party meeting tomorrow. But thank you for joining me with that update. Sandeep Punithan is our executive editor. I want to bring him in for a very quick perspective. Sandeep, what are you making of what the External Affairs Minister said? It's going to be very difficult for most people to wrap their heads around it, me included, that even under this very grave provocation, armed troops followed protocol, stuck to the no-bullet protocol and didn't fire. Either it was dedication to protocol or they were overwhelmed, disarmed. The sequence of events probably holds more answers. But what did you make of what Minister Jaishankar said?
Well, Shiv, Minister Jaishankar has actually stated the facts on the ground as they exist. And this is a protocol that has been followed in letter and spirit, at least from 1996. But from before that, the last shots were fired on the border in 1975. Now, for 45 years, there has been a peace and tranquility on the line of actual control with China. Now, it's been the attempt of the army to ensure that this is followed in letter and spirit. So if you've seen all those videos over the last couple of years of the standoffs, I know we've laughed at this even, this high altitude wrestling matches that we've seen of our soldiers sparring with the Chinese troops. But in all of those engagements, whatever be the provocation, if you've noticed, the weapons are never used. And it follows such a strict drill, Shiv, that the weapons are not even held in their hands. Because as someone was telling me in the army, that you hold a soldier holding a weapon itself, that conveys a picture of aggression. And that could, ask the other side, it could result in the other side firing a shot. So the clear indication is that nobody wants to be the one to fire the first bullet. And I believe this is exactly what happened on the 15th of June in the Galwan Valley. Despite extreme provocation, you had literally hundreds and thousands of soldiers there. And despite this very, very grave transgression of the spirit of these agreements by the Chinese, none of our soldiers fired any shots, Shiv. And that's extremely credible. I mean, this gives the government plenty of maneuver room, because it has painted China as the aggressor in this case, that they are the ones who literally tore up all these border peace and tranquility agreements that they've had over the years with us. They've violated all of this in the last couple of years. And as someone in the Northern Command was telling me, they have stabbed us in the back.
They've stabbed us in the back. It's as simple as that. They've stabbed us in the back. And that's why the fact is the rules of engagement, as Gaurav has reported, are completely going to change. What are the consequences for China? We don't know just yet. We're awaiting. We are, along with all of India, are waiting to see what those consequences will be. Sandeep, thank you very much for joining me with your perspective. Quick question also to our defense editor. I'm going to be joined in a moment by persons from the army and from the BJP and the Congress in a moment. But I want to quickly get in Abhishek Bhalla, defense editor. Abhishek, what are you hearing? The External Affairs Minister saying the troops were armed. There's no word on this from the Indian Army. It was peculiar that it took Minister Jaishankar to make this clarification. But this has changed the story completely, because now people are wondering, they had firearms, but were these guys so superhuman that they didn't use those firearms even under grave life and death provocation?
Shiv, one, it's important to note that this clarifications comes from the foreign minister and not from the army. That's number one. The other is, yes, there are protocols that firing will not take place. But, what is the spirit of this protocol? The spirit of this protocol was to ensure there are no escalations, blood is not spilled. But if in a situation like this, your troops come under a murderous assault, does the protocol say that you will not fire even then? These are the questions that need to be answered. Who has been telling the troops that you will not fire if you come under a murderous assault? That's a very critical question that the Indian security establishment needs to answer now.
Okay, Abhishek, thank you very much for joining me on that story.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.